In today's class, the fifth class, we'll talk about the contingencies, sum allocated in the bill of quantity. And this also, we have taken some examples, we have taken exercises, we have talked about this one, and we will try to little bit elaborate about this topic. So it says here in the handout, as I told you, please follow up with me in your handout. Virtually every construction project, some items are left out or not foreseen when the estimates are prepared. And as we said, that there is something which is called risks, and sometimes some things might be left or unseen or missed while you're doing your calculations, whether it's like pricing, costing, and quantity surveying, measurement. So in some cases, the items left out could not have been anticipated at the time of estimating, and especially for the large scale projects. And should a contingency amount be included? This is why. And that is, should a sum of money or percentage be added to the bid for items overlooked or left out? Okay, this money would provide a fund from which the items could be purchased. This is one of the reasons, in fact, that someone who's thinking that he has left something maybe by mistake, or some things that he cannot predict in the project because it's big project and all these things, so they put some like a percentage for the project, and they call it a contingency. And the contingency is also for the risks that might happen in the project, in the future of the project. And we have taken this one in the other class, which is construction management. So if the money is allowed, it's not necessary to be quite so careful in the preparation of an estimate, which means that because you have like something like a contingency. But if an accurate estimate is not made, an estimator never knows how much to allow for these forgotten items. So the most accurate calculations, it may have some deviations, or some things could be unforeseen, or it means risks, or forgotten, overlooked. So this is why contingencies are often an excuse for using poor estimating practices. When estimators use them, they are not truly estimating a project. Instead of adding this amount, the proper approach is to be as careful as possible in listing all items from the plans and specifications of the project. This listing should include everything the contractor is required to furnish. It should estimate labor costs carefully and accurately, and it should include the job overheads, expenses, and all these items. To these items, he add the desired profit. The most rational, useful contingencies is for price escalation and for risks. So you can write here, this for contingency for price escalation and risks. And because the price escalations in the preliminaries class, we have said that price escalations, there is a escalation formula. So this point might be covered in the contract itself. Okay, so no need for contingencies. But if it's not covered, yeah, sure, maybe you have to. And this could be risk also. So this is one of the risks. Price escalation is one of the risks. So to be more general, we can say that the most rational, useful of contingency is risks, and price escalation is one of the risks, in fact. So this is a lump sum amount allocated in the bill of quantities. Maybe it will be a lump sum of amount, and sometimes it's a percentage like the preliminaries or overheads, to be spent entirely at the architect's discretion, by his decision. It means by his, what he thinks that is by his control, by his free will, and according to the requirements of the project. Basically, this allows the architect a sum of money to cover the minor alterations to the project without the necessity of approaching the client for extra funds. So no need to like make interruptions or arbitrations in the project because of these amounts. It has to be covered already from the beginning of the project by the contingencies. So at the architect's discretion and on his own responsibility, he has to do this one. From this amount he has put already from the beginning, without approaching the client or the employer. A provision for unforeseen events or circumstances. A construction contingency is generally comprised of an amount of money set aside for unforeseen items or issues as they come up throughout a project, as even the best laid plans can go astray just a bit. So we cannot predict the project, especially if it's a long project, especially at the beginning of the project when we are doing the estimation. Before the project starts, the risks will be high, then the graph will go steeply down once the project starts, and it's not steeply necessarily, but it will go down, the unforeseen things and the risks in between the brackets, it will go down because things will be more clear during the days of the project, when the project is performed and continues, the work is continuing and time is passing, all these unforeseen things will be seen, and so this is why the amount of unforeseen things will be less than that, so the risk will be less accordingly. No matter the size of the complexity of the construction project, there is more often than not items or issues that arise due to unforeseen conditions, detail conflicts, design changes, etc., depending on how the contract between the construction team and the owner architect is set up. So it depends on the contract itself. Things might happen and things might not be covered in the contract itself, so the contractor could cover himself by these contingencies. It can dictate how these unforeseen items are handled financially, and generally speaking, they are normally dealt with by using contingency money. The first of two most common contract setups is a lump sum contract, where a contractor gives the owner architect a hard price based on the set of plans specifications. More often than not, in this scenario, in the scenario of the lump sum, the owner will hold his own contingency fund to deal with the conflicts. That means this is a risky type of contracts, which is a lump sum, which is a fixed price, because any problem that happens, maybe price escalation, cost escalations, anything. So both of these two parties, the owner himself, he has to have his own contingency because the price is fixed for the contract. So maybe if he wants to do like some design issues, he wants to do some changes, he cannot do it because the price is fixed, so he has to have his own contingency afterwards. If he wants the contractor to do something else other than that they have dealt with, he needs to pay for that. Okay, and also on the other hand, the contractor himself, he needs to have some contingencies in return for these unforeseen things and conditions that might negatively affect his project. And unforeseen conditions as they come up, and then pay the contractor for these scope changes through change order. This owner contingency is usually included in the owner's overall project budget to help prevent potential budget overruns. When the owner wants to deal with the contractor, he needs to have this contingency in his budget, and one part of this budget should go to the contractor, and the other part will be for him, kept as a contingency to cover all these things and not to have budget overruns. Additionally, the contractor may also be holding his own contingency for internal scope of work, conflicts between themselves and subcontractors. In this contract scenario, any contingency money the owner has at the end of the project can put towards additional work, not initially though to fit in the original budget, or keep it and put it towards future projects. So in this contract scenario, any contingency money the owner has at the end of the project can be put towards additional work not initially thought to fit in the original budget. So that means if we have completed this project with specific amount of money, and still the owner has the money of the contingency, he didn't use all the contingency money, he can use it later on towards the additional work, another extra benefits that he wants, because he has this money still with him. The second of two most common contract setup is a negotiated contract. This is not a lump sum or a hard fixed contract, where the contractor, the negotiated contract, where the contractor and owner and architect agree on the construction budget throughout a guarantee maximum price, GMP they call it. So both of these, all of these three parties, the architect, owner, and contractor, they have a guarantee maximum price, GMP price. This is the maximum price for this project. It shouldn't exceed this price. This is we deal, all of the three parties, they deal that this amount should be fixed, no extra. In this scenario, the contractor will have a share of risk of 100%. Why? Because any extra work that could be done, I mean any budget overruns, any cost overruns that might happen, it will be on the contractor himself, because he has agreed on the guaranteed maximum price. Okay. On the other hand, if the project, the target cost contract, both the promoter and the contractor, the owner and the contractor, will agree to probable target cost to a probable scope of work, together with incentive payment mechanism dealing with the difference between actual outcome and the target cost. So any differences will be shared between both parties in accordance with the incentive mechanism. This is a kind of incentive mechanism, which is a target cost contract. This type of the contract that we will say that this contract will cost this much of money. This is the budget of the contract. And whenever we have cost underruns, okay, less than the cost that we are supposed to have to do this project with, okay, then the extra money that we have, okay, we have saved, it will be divided between the contractor and the owner of the project. In the event that the scope change of unforeseen items arise, etc., the project team may agree that the change in price due to the change will come out of the project's contingency, and this contingency is monitored by both the contractor and the owner to make sure that the construction costs are staying within the allotted budget, both of them. And contingency money remaining at the end of the project, as we said, is usually split between the owner and the contractor according to the pre-decided or pre-agreed percentages. So which really motivates both parties to do their best on due diligence to keep construction costs down and work as team from start to finish. And this is very important and very nice kind of type of contracts that they have, like they say that we will save this amount of contingency. If we use it, if there is any unforeseen conditions, we will use it from the contingencies. If that unforeseen conditions that didn't happen, that contingency amount, and also maybe cost underruns, we will divide it between both parties according to the percentage that they have agreed upon at the beginning of the project in the contract. In closing, the contingencies can be beneficial for all parties involved in the construction project because they give everyone the opportunity to keep their costs within budget and helps to ease heartburn when things may not go as planned. And this is what we have today for this class about the contingencies, and we will have the sixth class next time in chapter 6, which is talking about measurement of electrical items, plumbing and mechanical works, and we will have both theoretical class. We will study the handout itself, and also I will attach in the next video a practical video from the site itself that explains everything which is mentioned in chapter 6. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next class number 6. Assalamu alaikum.